Morning, Rucker.
Morning, Polly.
Are you ready for episode 2?
Absolutely.
I loved episode 1. I'm in my element, and you want to know how I know you're in your element?
How?
You're smiling the whole time, and I love that.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it is. Hey, one of the biggest things we encounter on a daily, weekly, monthly basis is new sales consultants. And not even just the new ones, the ones that have been in it for a little while, talk to their mom and their aunt, and they've sold them a car. Now what? So we need to talk about a very important topic today on this episode, and we're really going to deep dive into this one. It's called leads.
Leads, and more leads.
Yeah. And there's lots of different types of leads, isn't there?
There are.
Yeah. And there's, we can sit here and list them all, and we can go through them all, and that's what we're going to do.
I love it.
So, yeah. So let's start by a new sales consultant walks in the door.
Yeah.
Okay. And they sit at the desk. They've been through our training. We got them up to speed on where the bathrooms are, and they know where to park their car when they get there in the morning and how to dress. Okay. Now, who do they talk to? Where do they get these said leads? Because the up bus doesn't really come anymore.
Well, I think we go back. What is a lead?
Okay. Let's describe it. That's a good point.
Is it a leash? Like a leader? Like a...
Yeah, like you're leading something. No,
Yeah.
a lead is a contact, in my opinion, in the car business, in any business. A lead is a contact.
Yeah.
Who am I able to reach out to, talk to, communicate with in any way, shape, or form that I can build a relationship with to sell them ultimately the product that we have, in this instance, an automobile. Right? We also have leads in other departments, don't we?
Yes, we do.
What other departments do we have leads in?
So a service lead could be, a customer that's needing service, whether it's, everything from an oil change to a full engine replacement.
Sure. What about parts?
Parts.
Do they have leads?
Especially in the wintertime, your battery dies. A little handy, and you want to do it yourself.
Yes.
I could go to the auto parts store, or would I go back to the dealership?
Well, most people think, what if they go to the dealership? Are they going to pay more or less for said parts?
I guess it depends on who you talk to, but yeah, I mean, I would think the general consensus would be that you would pay more. Would you pay more or less? Which it's less. Are you getting a more knowledgeable person giving you that part?
Expertise on the vehicle that you actually bought, the OEM or the manufacturer that you bought it from. Are they approved by that manufacturer? Are they parts that should be on your vehicle, should not be on? All these things come into play when you go to the dealership to buy the parts.
I'm going to bring it up anyway.
Do it.
I can think of my most recent parts lead, kind of a service lead, parts lead, that was a debacle. Customer picked out their own set of tires.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
And what happened?
I think you know about this.
I do.
They were the wrong tires.
Mm-hmm.
Who they thought was an expert gave them an opinion, and it's one of my least favorite parts experiences that we've had.
Yeah. It's
because we didn't let an expert make that decision. And I will tell you, we've trained differently because of that. I don't like to argue with customers or clients, but we did learn. It doesn't matter how emphatic they are, because how much liability is on the dealership and how much liability is on the customer.
Sure.
Absolutely. These are the tires. This is the part. Qualifying leads. Do they already know too much? Do they not know enough? Like there's a lot.
There's so much to talk about.
But service, we went through service, parts.
What about body shop?
Body shop.
There's body shop leads?
Fortunately.
Nobody talks about those, though, do they?
Those are the leads that we wish didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Because when are you going to a body shop?
When something's wrong. It's too late.
Well, you know what? Maybe not. Because one of the coolest things that we work on at our body shop, classic cars.
We do.
There could be a positive. I just thought of that as I was saying.
Fair enough. I've never thought that through.
Yeah. I want to restore my classic beauty, which we do, by the way.
Yes.
That could be a positive.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've thought about a positive.
Yeah.
Happening.
Right here
live.
I love it.
Right here first.
But
positive body shop.
Let's back up.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I love this. This is why we're doing it.
Yes.
What are the majority of the leads that we talk about on a daily basis? What department do those come in, and what's the bulk of our leads? What type of leads are the bulk of our leads that come into a dealership? Are they phone ups? Are they walk-ins? Are they internet leads? And what is an internet lead, by the way? Where do those come from? How do those get generated? Are they chats? This thing called chats. What is a chat? What's the bulk of our leads that come into a store, would you say?
Well, they're going to be digital based. And it depends
in some way, yeah.
Yeah, it depends on what store you have and how it's set up. I mean, our chats to a salesperson look like an internet lead. And this is why we really need to spend more time on this, is because, not all internet leads are the same. And that's why we have to really break it down because, a chat, that in your mind, you're thinking that's a live customer. They're trying to get quick information, and it is. And when you're processing that chat, it is. But when it turns into a lead, so to speak, it turns into an internet lead when it comes back into our CRM, our customer relationship
Yeah.
management tool, and it just gets grouped in. And we have to do a better job as an industry knowing that each individual lead is different and each individual lead source is different, and classifying internet lead is just a classification.
Oh my gosh, you are so spot on, and I don't always like to agree with you, as you
Yeah,
know, but I
doing
do
that.
agree with you here in
Yeah,
this instance. And let me ask you this, because the way that my mind works is there's different leads for different types of sales consultants.
absolutely.
If there's a sales consultant that's good on the phone, man, I want to get them on the phone. If there's a sales consultant that's good on chats, man, I want the majority of the chats going there. But then that opens up a can, because now you have certain sales consultants. Well, that Susie got more leads than I did in terms of chats or in terms of internet. We have those arguments.
We
But
do.
whose leads? Yes, we do. But whose leads really are those? Are those the dealership's leads? Are those the sales consultants? Should there be an equal share? We're going to talk about that a little bit today.
Or the manufacturer.
Yeah. Whose really are they? Okay. So let's start with internet leads.
Internet leads.
What is an internet lead? How does a lead become an internet lead? And where does a person even start? So before we even get into all of that, how does one get created?
So, and that's probably the best side of it. So, my favorite way to train internet leads is to be a consumer. So, what is the client seeing? What is the consumer seeing, and where are they going? Really, what any perfect dealership would do is you would take all of your internet lead sources, and then the hard part begins. You have to go through, okay, I'm going to go to widgetmotors.com and I'm going to submit a lead, and I'm going to see what does the customer see. Because, depending on how your CRM set up and how the mapping is done, if I click, is this car available? It'll come in widgetmotors.com lead, and they don't know that they clicked, is this car available?
So you have to read the lead.
If it's set up correctly, then it may tell you, and this is where I caution people, it may tell you that they clicked availability. It may not, though. And that's where reading the lead is important, because that one, is this car available? My website will allow you to put in a question with it. Your website may just be, is this car available? Send.
Yes.
So you have to know your leads, you have to know the lead sources, and you have to be able to read the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, take it real quick. I'm going to say it, and then Paul's going to say it. Read your leads.
Read your leads.
It is the most important part.
It is. I can't tell you how many internet leads or any type of internet lead that we go through on a daily basis, and you look at the response the consultant gave to the consumer, and it is nothing in regard to the question that they may or may not have asked. If a customer says, hey, you have a blue one, you'd be surprised when the consumer or the consultant says, hey, what kind of payment range would you like to be in? They asked what color you had.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible the amount of people that are not reading the leads, to your point. And we're going to say that over and over through the whole process, not just internet leads, but all of the leads.
Really.
If you're not reading and studying them, you're not going to win.
I think I like stats.
You do.
Big fan.
Yes.
So I think the one that sticks in my head the most is, and I don't know what the current stat is, and this is the problem with the car industry. The last stat you heard is the last stat you remember.
Sure.
The average customer only visits 1.5 dealerships before they buy a car. But why do they do that? How you respond to that first lead, in my opinion, is why they only go to 1.5. They go to 1, and if they had a horrible experience, they go to 0.5. And it all starts with that first one. If I said, is this car available? And does it have adaptive cruise control? And you don't respond to me, I go to the next one.
Within how much time?
Well, assuming you submitted one lead, maybe it's immediately after you respond wrong. Sure. Maybe I submitted multiple leads to multiple stores, and the first person I respond to is the first person that gave me the correct response. I mean,
you're not wrong.
You got to get it right.
And you know what I believe? Two things. Well, there's lots, but the two main things. Okay. First of all, you have to be quick. If you have an internet lead of any type come into your store and you respond to that lead half hour, 40 minutes after that lead was submitted, in my opinion, that customer's gone.
Yeah.
You've lost them. So speed is going to be very important. So you could respond to that lead 30 or 40 minutes from now
Yep.
and crush it. You answer every single one of those questions that they had. And you always, by the way, end your response with a question. That's going to be key. You want to provoke that customer to talk back or to talk back by typing. All right. And you can't do that without asking them a question. They've already asked you what they wanted to know. So if you answer, you better ask something else. That's how you provoke that response. So my two things, be quick, do it correctly. So quick and correctly each and every time, and end with a question. So I guess that's three. I guess that's three.
Man,
So man, if I can do it quick, and what do I mean by quick? What do you think an average response time should or shouldn't be to the leads? Because there's during hours leads, after hour leads. Do we have an AI tool that responds to our leads for us when we don't get to them? Is that okay? Let's talk about these few things before we get into leads.
So, the answer that we won't like is the first person to respond is quick. That's how quick it needs to be. The next answer is, well, give me a number so that I can be the first one. I mean, it's got to be seconds. It's got to be 30 seconds, 60 seconds.
And I love that.
In the industry, a 15-minute response time is, you're crushing it. And then we try to get to 10, then we try to get to 5. But at the end of the day, we need to be first.
Yes.
So it really doesn't matter when we respond as long as we're first. Because
so that's why I opened up the AI tool.
Yeah.
Right? Because now this is another debate, because you'll have general managers say it, absolutely not. I will never have a computer respond to my leads. So then you go unresponded to until opening up your dealership the next morning when you're responding to these leads, but you did it right and it was a human. Right, but those people aren't there anymore. They're not sitting behind their screen anymore or in front of you. I call it in front of you, even though they're not physically in front of you.
Right.
They're in front of you on their computer.
Yeah.
So if those people, you nailed it, you crushed the right answer, and your response to them ended with a question. You did all those pieces, but your response time wasn't first, because I assure you, somebody's responding to them at 2 a.m. Probably not a human, but somebody's responding to them. Some dealerships have humans doing it through the night.
Yeah.
And is that important? Should we tell every dealership, man, you better have somebody up all night long?
I think it depends on the store and the staff that you have. I mean, I got to be honest, my favorite time that we were responding to internet leads was we had a very young, aggressive salesperson that, how do I sell more cars? And we didn't ask him. He said, if I responded to every one of your after hours leads, could I have every single one that came in? And the answer has to be yes.
Why wouldn't it be?
I mean, I understand fair, and everybody deserves an equal opportunity. The equal opportunity is everybody can answer them at night, not that you have to leave them waiting until the next morning.
Sure.
Because I think with AI, and this is going to get more important as time goes on, you have to have AI as your...
What is AI, by the way? We keep using the acronym.
Artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
So what we need to talk about, is it okay? If I'm a consumer, should I hate AI or should I like it? In my opinion, if we trained it correctly, you should tolerate it. You don't have to like it. You can tolerate it because
we agree again. I hate that.
Better on that.
Yeah,
we need to argue.
We will.
We train the AI. We didn't put the AI from ChatGPT that makes your research papers. We're using AI that's automotive specific, so it knows how to find the color, the equipment, the miles, all the basics that you would need. It's when you have that unique question, absolutely. But ours tells you it doesn't know the answer, and I will get you that answer in the morning. But if you just have the basics, is it available?
Yes.
Are you going to sell it to me in the morning when you guys wake up? All that stuff, it can do it.
I can tell you this. You work for, in my opinion, the best dealer group on planet Earth. Is this a current debate? Is this a current topic? Did you get an email in the last few days that said, hey, who wants to and who does not want to have, for instance, an AI tool answering their phone leads?
Right.
Is that important to debate this currently? This is a current topic.
Yeah. No, we absolutely did not want it. We had it, loved it, and then our customers pushed back, and we said absolutely not. But I got to be honest with you, because we said no, I think it's why it's better today. I mean, you want it to get better.
Explain yourself.
Our in the beginning, let's just say it's any AI phone product that's out there. It wasn't their fault specifically. It's just because it's one brand. They were all like this.
Sure.
But some demographics are okay with it, some aren't. Like I don't know how to say this politically correctly, but you know the areas that are going to be okay with it and the areas that aren't.
Sure.
You know, a young college community, absolutely. You know, one that our community specifically, we are built on the lifelong relationships that we develop within the community. They're used to calling a person soon, and they were fine until they realized it was AI, just so we're clear.
Sure.
AI wasn't the problem. It was, oh, this isn't Mr. Jones that I've been buying cars from for the last 40 years, or Mrs. Smith that I've been servicing my car for 30 years. I mean, that was a big, just give me the person that I like and that I'm used to.
Yeah.
And I think that was the beginning. It's a lot different today, though.
It is. And you know what I've noticed is because, our fearless leader has had us really deep diving and looking into and listening to phone calls, reading the chats, reading the emails that go back and forth from our consultants to our consumers or our ultimate clients. We're really, really deep diving, peeling the onion back. And when you listen to an AI taken phone call, for instance, for service, you'll notice, in my opinion, from the ones I've listened to, you'll notice the very first part of that phone call is, you can hear the customer, got a computer. But by the end of the phone call, they make an appointment.
Yeah.
And then it says, hey, would you like to rate this phone call? And your average is 8.5 out of 10 on the rating. Now, people say, I don't want anybody answering my phones except for my advisors and my managers. Well, I don't either. The problem is you're not.
Right.
So somebody needs to.
Yeah.
Would you rather this person get to a voicemail, which, by the way, how many people leave voicemails? It's 2025. If a voicemail picks up, what's the consumer do? Click, they're gone. Or would you like a backup, a worst case scenario?
Yeah.
An AI tool to take your phone call.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where, man, I don't want the AI to take my phone call.
Yeah.
Man, I'm glad they took my phone call.
Oh, yeah.
This is that argument that we get into, and it's a necessary evil. Did you say that earlier?
Yeah.
Couldn't agree with you more. This is a necessary evil, in my opinion.
Yeah. And those 8 ratings were in the old system. And, now we're going to try the great, and we'll see how it works out. It'll be higher. I know it will.
No, for sure it will. Yeah.
But, AI, when it comes to a sales lead, that's a texting or an email type service. So we had, the way our store works, we only had it in email. And they were like, man, if we could get text messaging. And then we found a vendor that did text messaging. Yeah. And ironically enough, I still have both vendors.
Mm-hmm.
And they fit in 2 very different. One's a short-term follow-up, one's a long-term follow-up. I don't know why it's built like this. Like, you should be able to do short-term and long-term. It seems
you would
odd
think
to
you
me.
would have one rolled in, right? Yeah. But that can take care of both.
The first one of you that does both
wins. So
just because it is, they're very similarly priced, but I have 2 vendors instead of 1. That drives me nuts.
It's funny you say that because, leads, when they come in, and we're talking about sales leads currently, and we're going to really deep dive into this internet lead thing. Most stores that I have the privilege of traveling around to and looking at and peeling the onion back on the leads, after 3 days, if that consumer's not set an appointment or come in to buy a car, we don't talk to them anymore. You do know that's a major problem, right?
100%.
Oh, again, I'm going to always refer to this as our fearless leader because I love him to death, right? Yeah. He always says and you repeat it all the time in your meetings. I love your meetings, by the way, with your staff. Yeah. You say it all the time. It's not about how many cars we sold. It's about how many cars we didn't sell. And that is so important when it comes to these leads. It's not how many leads you closed in 3 days. It's how many we didn't close after that. And we just don't talk to them anymore, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and you know what? Let's just sidetrack for a half a second. Do
we do that a lot?
Yeah. This is a good, because we went internet lead and then went to service and phones. But, that one specific thing, it took me too long to understand what he was saying. And I don't know if I wasn't listening, if he wasn't saying it in a way that registered with me. But when he finally said, it's the sales that you're not making.
Yes.
Which we got a new tool. We got lots of tools.
We do.
Tons of tools. We got a new one that literally tells me every time that a customer does not buy, they bought something else.
Yes.
Like, if your customer,
I call that the throw up tool.
Yes. If you're a customer, there's data everywhere. If you're a salesperson, if you're not getting this data, you need to get this data because it's out there. I can tell you, Mr. bought somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not you did phone call. It was my least favorite from sales. selling and then going into management. But now the computer tells me before your customer is even willing to even admit
Is that
they bought
creepy?
another car. And that's the thing that drives me nuts. You
Yeah.
know, if you don't know what your manager or what your owner is saying, you got to keep asking because it's a motivating factor. And I could have saved myself a lot of time if I understood what he was saying
Yes.
earlier in my career.
You
I
know,
watched
it's
many managers come and go.
yes,
They didn't
because they
understand.
didn't understand what he was saying.
Yes.
It's funny you say that because there's another thing he said for years that drove me crazy.
Yeah.
When I was in finance and when I was a sales manager at the tower, and we all have our towers, which we can talk about another episode.
Here it
We're
comes.
going to say that a million times, right? He always used to say this, and I quote, "Your volume is covering up your problems."
Yeah.
And I hated it that he said that. Man, look what we're doing.
Yeah.
Look how many widgets we're selling. Look at what we're doing compared to all of our competitors across the United States of America. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Our volumes covering up our problems. Now, I did switch that to him, and I joke with him. It's our volume is covering up our opportunities.
Yeah.
But if a court, and here's one of his sayings too, right? You peel back that onion. What does that mean?
Yeah.
You start peeling that back, and it goes back to the saying you just talked about.
Yeah.
Right? It's not how many you sold, it's how many you didn't sell.
Yeah. Correct. And that's, how do you relate it to you as the salesperson? How do you relate it to you as the manager, the GSM, the GM, the service manager, whatever your title is? You need to be looking at leads, for example. How many leads did I not turn into appointments? Because what's the number one goal of a lead?
Set an appointment.
Right? Get a hold of them and set the appointment.
Yeah. Get them in front of you.
So you've got to dissect your business into little tiny portions, and you need to measure each one of them. So not it is how many cars I didn't sell. Then it's how many numbers did I not close? How many test drives did I not go on? How many appointments were missed? How many appointments were not set?
Yes.
Going all the way back, you got it. Everything we talk about, you got to relate from the smallest to the most important part of the business. And that's where the leads come into play.
For sure.
Because I can tell you, circling all the way back to the beginning, if AI handled it, you're off to a lukewarm spot.
Mediocre.
Start. Mediocre at best. So they kept the customer engaged and interested. It's your job to get it to the next step. Do not let AI be the thing that brings your customer in. The thing that they love to talk about, look at all the appointments we set. Stop. It needs to be the salesperson. The salesperson's got to set the appointment. If AI sets your appointment, you're going to get an AI experience when the customer walks in. And that's not to say a bad thing. It's just AI is designed to do everything good.
It's not going to build the relationship.
It's not going to build a relationship.
No. And it's funny you're saying that because in my opinion, the biggest miss for a sales consultant, for all you sales consultants out there listening, whether it's on the phone, whether it's on the internet, no matter where it is, you're not asking for the appointment. That's the problem. Well, I answered all their questions. I can't believe they didn't buy a car.
Yeah.
Oh, when did you ask them to come in? What do you mean? I didn't ask them to come in. So you talked to them for 30 minutes and never asked them to come into your store?
Yeah.
You listened to a phone call. You watch the chat. You look at the responses back and forth from the salespeople, the consumer, and you go, "What? You never asked for the appointment?" And they go, "Yeah, no, I don't know why I didn't do that."
Yeah.
Right? Does tonight at 6:15 or tomorrow morning at 10:30 work best for you? Never happens. We just assume that if we answer all their questions, they're going to come in. Horrible assumption. Don't do that.
My favorite example of this is going into an electronics store. They're all set up the exact same way. You walk in, "Hi, can I help you with anything today?" My answer is always no. And I'm back in the TV section, and I've got this one and that one. They look identical, and they're $300 apart. And I'm going, why is nobody here to help me?
Because you told him you didn't want any help.
And I'm mad at him.
Yes. Why?
We're not meeting the customers where they want to be met.
Yes.
You have to ask them because they're in the fact-finding mission. They don't know if it's okay to come in yet. They don't know if they want to come in yet. Again, unless the customer says, "What time can I come in?" they're going to stay in their research phase unless you invite them in. Some people want all the information before they walk in. Some people are okay having most of the information before they walk in. So invite them in. Ask them if it's time, if they're ready to come in.
Absolutely. And you said something earlier, right at the start of this episode, that people visit the dealerships, 1.5 dealerships before they make a car purchase.
Yeah.
You know what that was 15 years ago?
I knew that. And
it was over 6.
Yeah.
It was over 6 dealerships before somebody actually made a decision, a consumer made a decision to purchase or lease a vehicle. Now it's 1.5. You want to know why? Because the consumers are more educated than ever before they walk it. They already know the payment.
Oh, they do.
They already know if it has adaptive cruise. They already know if your purple one has a sunroof in most cases. Not all the time. That's where you can't assume anything.
All right, it's time to argue.
Please. I love
Should you
arguing
give
with
the
you.
payment in your lead?
Absolutely not.
Ooh, here
we go. I will stand by, always will stand by, and will argue with anybody. Are there times that you have to? Absolutely.
Yep.
I won't argue that. But most people, most consumers, and I challenge anybody watching this podcast that are listening to this podcast, and I hope there's lots of you, go look at your leads today. When you get into work today, go look at your leads. You want to know what you're going to see? Somebody giving a payment before they were even asked. Almost all internet leads, phone ups, the sales consultant thinks what? That's just what they want to know. They want to know what the payment is.
Yeah.
They didn't even ask you. Oh, it's $328 with this much due at signing. They didn't even ask you that, right? My opinion is you don't need that. And my response to most internet and almost all internet leads specifically, because that's the topic we're on, is Mr. and Mr. Consumer, I don't want to miss anything. There are so many programs right now that we have to offer for you. I don't want to get the car wrong, and I want you to see them with all the features and benefits that they come with. I don't want to quote you something that's not right for you.
Yeah.
It's easy to say on a phone or over this internet lead, talking back and forth with you. I want you to see them. Right. I want you to choose the correct car, and I don't want to miss one program. What works best for you this evening at 6:15 or tomorrow at 9:45? Both work for my schedule. When you do that, what does the consumer almost always say?
Yeah, they're willing.
Yeah, 9:45 tomorrow morning works best.
Yeah.
Excellent. We'll see you then.
Yeah.
If I give a payment over the whatever platform it is, what is the consumer doing with my payment the second they get it?
Shopping it.
All day long.
Right.
You don't need that. Now you argue back.
So I'm gonna just give you the rebuttal back to it.
Yo, please.
This is my third Widget Motors SUV. You didn't change the body style. I love black. That's the only color I've ever bought. Is my payment the same?
That's the question we're going to answer when you arrive, because I don't miss any of these programs. General Motors changes them on a monthly basis. The scary part is they don't even tell us what they're going to be until the first of the month. We wait anxiously, all those things to see what they're going to be on the first. Mr. Consumer, 3 times ago when you bought that same car, I assure you the payment will not be the same. The programs will not be the same. The residuals, if you're leasing, will not be. None of that. But when you get here, we're going to go through all of your options. Man, I can't wait. Do you still have the blue one?
I like black. You're not listening to me.
No, your wife has blue.
Oh,
do you forget? See what I did there?
No,
you know where I'm going.
No, I do. And it's, I think the hardest part is the different, you have to know your customer, because some customers absolutely will not come in unless you give them a price. I think your point where you said we give the payments too early, we give them when they're not asking for it, 100% true. And I think that's why, as managers, we get stuck in these positions where we're like, well, that guy messed up the last one, so we're never going to give payments out again.
Sure.
I think, and I wish if you're a stat provider, give us the stat for it. I wish I knew how many customers needed the payment. And I think I would change my mind on it. If the customer is asking for the payment, I don't know what we're hiding. The thing that the customer always complains about, now, is this the 1%er or the 10%er or the 15%er?
Sure.
If they're complaining about it, always, once a year, I shop campers. I've been to one dealership to look at one, and I had to have my payments ahead of time, because for me, I don't want to waste my time. I want to go to the right place. And like those, if we ever get to a profit episode, they have so much markup in them.
What do you mean if?
Oh, that's the next one?
Yeah.
Maybe.
It might be.
But those, I mean, they'll mark them down 40, 50%.
Sure.
And some will sell them for MSRP. And I'm like, I don't understand. I'm the guy. I need the payment. Otherwise, I won't go.
So now I appreciate your rebuttal.
Yeah.
And I'm going to rebut back.
Yeah.
And it's not just for this topic. It's going to be for several through our episodes. Yeah. I believe that people find the one-off customer and they build their thought or mentality around that one-off customer.
Yeah.
You may be one of those one-off customers. Right. Maybe that could be. But what happens is if you run into one or two of those customers, you have to give payments over the internet or over the phone or whatever it is, over the chat or whatever the lead type is that you're discussing, you assume the rest of them must need that too.
Yeah.
That's not true. In fact, the majority, and this again is just, I'm very opinionated,
Yes.
right? The
That's why we're here.
majority, that's right. The majority of the people that are trying to purchase a very expensive product called a vehicle, they don't really need the payment. They do need the payment. They don't need it in their initial seeking. You can find payments anywhere you go. Every dealer's got their own payments. They're posted everywhere. Most people just want to know how true that payment is, but they don't need the exacts. If you
Sure.
can get somebody
That's
to
fair.
say, hey, listen, the vehicle you're looking for is going to be in this type of a range, if that's what is really, really, but you're going to be somewhere in this ish range. But again, it depends on the features that we decide at the end of the day when we're talking are most important for you and your family, and how many miles that you actually are going to need, not what you think you need, but what you really need. Let's do some math,
Yeah.
right? How many miles are in your car now? When did you get it? Why did you tell me you're going to need 15,000 miles a year to drive on that lease? You've driven 8 over the
Right.
last 3 per year. We need to talk about it. Then we're going to give you what's called an accurate payment.
Right.
The expectation's going to be between this, but man, people get tied up. I'm telling you right now, if one salesperson or one manager has to give out a payment over email or over the phone, they assume the rest of them do. It's just not true.
Yeah. No. And I think maybe it's a compromise between the two.
Yeah.
I think it's dangerous to say, do not ever give a payment out because, again, an out-of-state customer, are you never going to sell a car out of state?
Yeah.
You're going to have to give a payment. Every dealership's different, and maybe I'm Local Motors. I only sell to my customers.
Sure.
We're never giving one out. The always and nevers scare me. And again, but yeah, we always give payments out. Stop giving payments out if they're not ready for it. Again, statistics. Here comes statistics guy again. How many customers come in and buy the car that they originally put a lead in on? So I think there's something in the middle where, here's what our specials are. Do you put your highest payments or your lowest payments on your special?
Obviously the lowest.
So here's our specials. If you're looking for something like that, that's absolutely the car. If you qualify for everything, do you give kind of a soft landing for somebody that needs a payment? And then do you tell them, depending on equipment, depending on eligibility, we can build your payment from there. It's right, wrong, or indifferent. It's never probably going to get cheaper than the advertised payment. You got to hit everything. Yours, I'll take yours from you. You got to jump on one foot, tap your head, rub your stomach, and then you can end up with that payment.
Don't you hate that?
I do.
And then you get in a pickle with the customer in the showroom of, you don't have an orange baton at home. You don't get this rebate.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah. It's, I think if we set it up correctly, I feel like that could be a good compromise for somebody else, too, because I don't like the dealership. I'm going to hide the information because even if your intentions are correct, depending on Paul Jordan will deliver that message perfectly and they will know you're a consultant, not a salesperson.
Sure.
If you do it wrong, that's where it's going to come up. You're hiding the payment from me. You're trying to make you're going to retire off of me buying a car.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It's just not true. It's all in the delivery. And that's, a brand new salesperson. What's right? What's wrong? Are they going to mess it up? That's what scares me as a manager, and that's why leads, who else needs to be involved in leads? We're talking about salespeople. You're leads. You're going to make a bunch of money. You're going to sell a bunch of cars. The manager's got to be watching too.
And if they're not, the amount of we didn't sells, not the amount that we did, but the didn't just grow. If your managers are not inspecting every single lead. Now, if you're a large store, you personally, manager, cannot look at all of them and get everything done on a daily basis. But man, you guys better have a process that you follow or a group or a team of people, and they all every single day are inspecting every leader. You're just leaving things on the table. But let's talk about internet leads for a second. Let's just talk about the internet leads for a second.
Yeah.
Who should get them? Everybody?
No.
Absolutely not. You're correct.
All right.
We're going to nail it. Why not?
To your point earlier, there's just different qualities and different characteristics for each salesperson. An internet lead could be a chat. Now, mind you, that's coming later, right? You already did the chat, so now it goes in your name. We call it an internet lead. But a lead could be trade value. That my used car guy is way better at that than my new car guy.
Sure.
Do you have a split floor? Do you share everything?
Well, let's talk about that because that's what we're talking about. Who gets them?
Yeah.
Floor. What do we mean by open floor? If you're in the new car side, the Cadillac side, the Buick side, the Chevy side, or whatever store you're at, the widget side of the house, and a used car lead comes in. Do you want everybody getting that used car lead initially, or just your used car team specifically when it initially comes in?
So just at the 8 years that I've been at our store, it's been this, that, every which
We've
way.
changed it 100 times.
In my opinion, I do like the specialized.
I do too.
And it's, even the individual, when we were using third party, which we don't use very many third parties anymore, the experience on widgetmotors.com was very different than motorswidget.com.
Sure.
They did the same thing, but they did many different things. I mean, some customers were ready to buy and some customers were absolutely not. We're in the research stage. We're in the buying stage. How do I prioritize my leads? How do I decide who's important and who's not?
Yeah.
What information do they need? What information do they not need? I think having that specialized person, it takes the mystery out of it, because there's a reason that Amazon's starting to sell cars, which, by the way, that's just shopping. That's not buying at the end of the day. But there's a reason you don't click a button and the car shows up at your house.
Yes.
We still want to drive them, smell them, feel them, get a second opinion. It's a gigantic purchase. There's a reason you can't click a button and buy your house. We need realtors. You like some of them, you don't like some of them.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I just want to make sure I'm making an educated decision. I want I'm going to pick the guy that's going to argue with me the most, and I want you to tell me why I should or shouldn't do it. So that I can then pick the opposite opinion and go, that was a good decision. I bought the right car from the right person.
When you have a larger store and you have separated showrooms, but it's an open floor, in other words, everybody can sell anything. The initial lead coming into the store, if it's a specific lead on a used car or a different type of car, that should go to your specialized team.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
For sure.
That's where they're going to get the most professional advice on that widget that they're looking into or inquiring about. That doesn't mean if they have a customer they've dealt with in the past or somebody that walked into the store looking for an automobile, they can't walk through the showrooms and sell anything they want. But that initial lead is very important to be specialized. And I'll even go deeper than that. If you have heavy duty trucks or commercial vehicles, for instance, I guess, and those can be two things, but commercial vehicles, you don't want your new sales consultant sitting on the pre-owned side of the dealership to take a initial commercial lead from a large company.
No.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
So you better make sure that the types of leads coming in are given and separated to the right people, don't you think?
Maybe it's time to move on from internet leads. I mean, we can spend all day talking about it, but I mean, to your point, when we're talking about specialized, it reminds me of brokers.
Sure.
So when I worked in Ohio, I didn't know what a broker was. I get to Michigan, everybody's a broker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. When I think of broker, I think of third-party lead source. I'm a consumer. Dealerships call me a lead, or they call me a prospect, or they call me whatever.
Sure.
When brokers don't sell cars, they go to dealerships and then they get a dealership to help them sell a car, right? Mm-hmm. They pass them off and they go, hey, Mrs. Smith, she's all ready to go. The widget OEM is exactly what they want. This is what they're going to buy it for.
Sure.
Go ahead and make sure that I was correct. And that's the stuff that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Because as a consumer,
I hate that.
I didn't go to the third-party website. I didn't go straight to the dealer. I picked a broker because they're going to take care of me. But does the broker only sell the A cars? They sell the A through Z cars. They're not the expert. They're trying to be. They're trying.
They think they are.
They're trying super hard, and they're very well versed. I will tell you that they are very attentive. Plenty of salespeople inside the store that are very attentive.
That help you shovel when it snows.
Yeah. Well, listen, brokers are different. I'm talking about leads.
Okay.
Brokers are completely different.
Yes.
You had to go there.
I did.
It's, obviously they don't work in the store. They don't have live, they don't go through the manufacturer training. I mean, when you talk about specialized, we send people to the racetrack to go learn about these cars. They're testing them to their limits. The manufacturer they send them to the frozen tundra to make sure that they won't freeze on you. They send them to the desert so that you stay cool and nothing breaks down. They'd already tested all that.
Yes.
What does it feel like as a customer?
Yeah.
And that's the middle piece between the manufacturer and the consumer, is the well-trained sales associate that's there to help you.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy at the electronics store is not going to talk me into the TV that I don't want. My sales associate's not going to talk you into the car that you don't want. They, honest to goodness, want to sell you the right vehicle. And the broker, they want you to get the cheapest deal possible. Who pays for brokers?
Right.
The consumer does.
Of course they do. They just don't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's move to phone leads.
Yeah.
Right? Phone ring comes into the store. Who
Yeah.
should get those? Right? Who's answering? Right? almost every store, and if you don't, you should.
Yeah.
When you have a person or a consumer call into your store, typically it's press 1 for sales,
Yeah.
2 for new pre-owned sales, 3 for service. Whatever the prompt is, it gets to a certain what we call ring group, right? And do you want your ring group to be your entire sales floor, or do you want it to be, again, specialized? I think we've talked about that enough to say that we want the phone.
Specialized, specialized, specialized.
We want them to be specialized. We want them to go to the right people that can help somebody the best, right?
And I think that helps consumers out too. Why do I have to click 1 and then click 3 and then click 6? We didn't do it because we love making it harder. We're doing it because we're trying to get you to the specialized person. And there's, from a dealership perspective, I can put 800 numbers on the website so that you get the perfect person every time. Or I could do a phone tree and make you click 3 times. So
Yeah.
I hope that understands too, because as a new salesperson, you go, why do we do it like this?
Yes. Drives you
That's
crazy.
the why.
And most people, and by the way, again, I'm going to throw another challenge out to all the people listening to the audio and watching the video here. Call your store. See how fun that is, right? This is one of when I was at the NADA Academy, I was privileged to be sent through the academy. One of the big things that we did for almost a half of one of the days during the training was we called our stores in front of each other. It was on speaker in the room, and we called our store to see how that process worked. Did it work the way you tell people it works? Did somebody answer the phone? How long did it take them to answer the phone? Did I talk to an operator? Did I talk to we learned all of these things about each other's store. By the way, at the NADA, the service, make sure the advisors' volumes are turned up so that they hear the phone ring and the manager hears the phone ringing down the lane, right? All of these things you'll find out when you listen to your phone calls and inspect them and call your store, right?
It's very interesting because it's my favorite thing. I'm a brand new salesperson. Maybe it's not embarrassing, but show your managers and show your GM and your owners that you're paying attention. Tell them that a phone number is broken. I can't tell you how many times. If a salesperson can find one of my phone numbers broken, it's a tough day for everybody else, because
I've seen you angry about this.
It's just one of those things. Like this is our showroom, right? That's our digital showroom.
Yes.
And if you think that it's not breaking on your website, you're wrong. And it doesn't happen every day, but it happens every few weeks. And the problem is it's always in a different spot, because websites are not built like they're built in the 90s. It's not, okay, I got a guy in the back room and he goes in and he clicks and he types in 1-800-2222 and puts the phone number in. We have call tracking lines. We have 6 numbers that do the exact same things, but they're pulling from different places. The manufacturer has a phone number that they want us to use so that they can listen to the phone calls.
Yeah.
Where does that go? I put the phone number on a billboard, so I want to track how many times does somebody call that number. So nobody's going to tell you that the billboard's the reason that I came in. So I'm trying to track that number.
Sure.
And they put it in different spots. I forgot to renew the phone number.
Oops.
I changed my mind, and on the website, I want to track this number, not that number. So then when I'm going through and I'm updating my phone numbers, I go, oh, that number's not been used in a long time. And then somebody in a different department goes, hey, we haven't used that number in a long time. That's my anniversary date. Let's use that one. And it pops back in and it doesn't work.
And you know what's worse? Let's say they are working.
Yeah.
And somebody leaves a voicemail. Where does that go?
Exactly.
Which phones that are they checking them? Are there a red light of death on the phones all over the place and nobody's looking at voicemails? You learn so much about looking into your phone lines, calling them and inspecting them and listening to the calls. It's not funny. You want to learn about your business? Get your garbage can real close to you because it makes you want to throw up.
Yeah.
Call your store. Try calling your own managers. Try calling your own salespeople. And see what the consumer has to experience by trying to get a hold of somebody at your business. It makes you want to throw up. You want to really start at the beginning, figure out how to do those properly.
Oh, yeah. And you're a brand new salesperson. Did you set up your voicemail? Because still, we went through phone changes. When I was going through the phone changes, I had to sit and help you set up your voicemail.
Yes.
They would log in and I would hear somebody else's name a lot more than I should. I would have rather had no voicemail greetings than have what I found. And it's, ours, we've been there a long time. Yeah. We have low turnover. So you forget when you're doing it less often, but maybe you're a smaller store.
Yeah.
Maybe you're only getting a new salesperson every 3 to 6 months.
Sure.
I mean, it's.
Yeah. The example I use when we talk about this, if you're not inspecting it constantly, you forget. Right. This is the example. When you drive into your store every single day and you drive in the same entrance, you park in the same parking spot, Of course, you're walking in the back, you're walking in through service,
Yep.
and you're walking up to your show because you're talking to everybody, but you didn't notice there was weeds.
Right.
You didn't notice the lawn guy didn't come this week because it was raining and he skipped you. And
Right.
now you're front because you're just in a habit. If you're not inspecting and watching and looking at your phones, who's answering them and where they're going. So, by the way, this all ties back to leads. These are phone leads, right? The phone leads are so important because if somebody calls you, this isn't somebody you're reaching out to try to get to come buy a car. This is somebody calling you saying, can you please sell me a car? Can you please sell me a part? Can you please sell me time?
Yeah.
Because in service, we sell time.
Yeah.
These are people asking you to give money to you, to give business to you, and you're not doing what you should be doing with those leads. And that's what scares me the most. Again, it's not how many people you serviced in service. It's how many you didn't. It's how many cars you sold, how many you didn't. That's why we're talking about leads.
So as we're wrapping up leads, we're talking about what the store provides. How do we provide for ourselves?
My goodness.
The phone's not ringing.
Now you're getting into my cup of tea here.
The phone's not ringing.
Mm-hmm.
The internet leads aren't coming in. Nobody wants an oil change today. Nobody wants to buy a car today. What do I do as a brand new associate to get more leads?
So can I give you my answer to that first?
Love it, yeah.
And you can go right after that. So I have two main tricks that I try to spread to everybody that I know. And I still do this today. So my biggest trick is person comes in. First of all, what's the difference between a warm lead and a cold lead? Warm, you know, you've had some kind of contact, you've heard of, somebody referred them to you. There's a reason. You can tie that customer to you somehow. A cold one, this person bought a car 7 years ago. They haven't bought since, and the people that they bought it from is no longer here. Hey, Johnny, reach out to that guy. That's called a cold lead. You have no idea. You've never talked to this person. You can't say, you know, I worked with your aunt or your customers, and it gives you so much. We could deep dive. Yeah. But those customers right there for a new consultant, let's say the new person is a younger person and they have 300-400 people or 200 people. You know how long it takes to enter those 200 in there and then reach out to 200 people? Yeah. And by the way, I mean reach out. Mm-hmm. Text them and call them. Yeah. Hey, Coach Johnson. Yeah. It's been a while. I'm over here at Widget Motors, and I'm so excited to help you and all of your family and friends with their automotive needs, whether it's servicing, body shop, parts, or goodness, sales or leasing or retailing a car to you. Could you please give me a shout? If I reached out by text and then called every person in my phone, how long would that take? And how many cars would you sell just doing that alone? I don't need the dealership to give me any leads. I don't need any phone ups or walk-ins or internet leads. I'm going to use my own. And all the other stuff that the dealership, that's called cake.
Right? You go through training and so forth. I mean, depending on the dealership you work at, it could be one day until you get your first dealership provided lead.
Yes.
Or it could be months. So, you know, that is when you started doing that, I loved it because it makes sense to me. And it makes sense, you know, when first time you're doing anything, it's going to be clunky. Yes. Be clunky with the people that love you the most.
Yes.
And that are going to put up with or tolerate, or you know what? They're probably going to coach you. If you call Aunt Susie and you try to sell her a car, she's going to go, dear.
Oh, honey, you should do it like this.
Listen, I probably would have done better if you did that. Yeah. And plus, it's kind of cool. You start going through that list. I remember the first sales meeting that I remember you doing it in, and it was a coach. Somebody goes, I didn't even know I had Coach Smith's phone number. That would be a fun phone call. I mean, sure, it's designed so that you talk about cars, but you get to follow up with some people that you may have not followed up with in a long time.
And funny how you'll talk about a lot of things other than automotive because you're making that call. Yeah. You'll learn that he's had this struggle or had this win or had another child or whatever, taken on a different adventure, won a championship, whatever it is. You'll learn all of that in a phone call or a text that you didn't even think about making. No. And I bet you right now there's people, Ruck, driving into work this morning, right now listening to this podcast or driving home right now, scrolling to the bottom of their contacts to see how many they have.
Yeah.
Please be careful while you're driving, by the way. But I'm telling you right now, you're going to see that number and go, oh, my goodness.
No matter what, I think it's more than you think. I'm sure. My number was, I can't remember what it is, so now I'm going to have to go look.
Yes.
My number was smaller than yours, but it was way bigger than I thought.
Yes.
I didn't know that I had that money. I just assumed that I had lost a bunch or whatever
and
happened.
When you're smiling, you're going to smile when you make these phone calls because you're going to go, oh, my gosh, I can't even believe I have this phone number in here. And when you're smiling and making that call, the person on the other end is like, Hey, how are you? What a good time to ask them if they need anything automotive. By the way, no matter what happens in the economy, do people need cars?
Always.
What did Madre always say to us?
Right.
Until you see people walking down the highway, we'll be fine.
Yes.
She told Ryan that, right? I'm telling you right now, that'll be true till the day we go.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you right now, no matter what's going on in the world, you're always selling cars.
Right.
And it's such a fun business to be in.
Oh yeah.
My second favorite one,
Yep.
be in a group outside of work.
Right.
I don't care if it's a BNI group. I don't care if it's just your soccer group, your church. I don't care, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? On Friday mornings, I eat breakfast with a group of gentlemen at 6:50 in the morning, right? Down at the Coney Island. What do you think? Do you think all of them have LaFontaine plate frames on the back? Of course they do. Be in a group. Be talking to, when you're out to eat, talk to your waitress about cars. Ask them what their needs are. Right? These are the ways that you get yourself started. If you're brand new in the business or even not brand new in the business, you're still doing the things I'm talking about. I coach soccer. Cole Jordan, and you know Cole very well.
Yeah.
He works side by side with you in the trenches,
Yeah.
right? When he was growing up, I had the privilege of being his soccer coach.
Yeah.
Okay. Every single parent bought cars from me and still do today. Because everybody, if you be proud. If you're selling houses or automobiles, those are the two biggest purchases most people will ever make.
Yep.
Right? Unless you're somebody buying yachts and airplanes and helicopters, right?
Yeah, but then you're
most people
more.
don't, right? Be proud of what you do. Smile and talk to everybody and be passionate about the automotive business. Your career will take off. Right now, if you play basketball in a league,
Yeah.
make sure all of them purchase from you.
Yeah.
Whether it's your brand or whatever it is you sell, make sure they all have your plate frame on the back. Those are my two big ones.
Be involved in it. If your dealership doesn't have a referral program, I like, taking that one step further. I love the referral side of it. One, that's kind of further down the road, but even as you're starting out, staying their car person, because you can't always sell somebody on day one. And that's not really what you're trying to do either, right? We're trying to get away from salesperson and change them to sales consultant, because, you're going to call Aunt Susie. No, I'm not ready to buy a car, but I'm ready for an oil change. Great. Come on in. I'm going to help you get set up. I'm going to show you this cool new way that we can go in and we can schedule a service and we can do all that. Aunt Susie, by the way, if you happen to hear of anybody else, turn your network into a networking team, and she can go out. She can find more people because she's going to want to talk about it too. You're the first person she's met in the car business. Oh, my daughter, or my niece, she's selling cars. She's over at Widget Motors. You would not believe how well she's the best human being. She goes to church on Sundays. She volunteers in the community. Just consider buying from her.
Yeah.
The other one, just as we're talking about ancillaries, if you're going to lose a car deal, you're going to lose a customer.
Sure.
Make sure you lose it on purpose. And if they're going to buy something else, this was further into my sales career. I had a GM that told me, if you call them and talk to them about their new lease, because I was in the luxury space, and I'd have luxury A that I was selling for, and they'd buy luxury B. I would call them about their lease intervals, and I would try to make sure that they remembered my name more than they remembered their salesperson's name. And I'd be like, hey, your lease is coming due in 6 months. Are you ready to talk about it? Because I was the only luxury manufacturer in Luxury Row. We had 2 non-luxury stores.
Yes.
Rarely did I sell those to my clients, but they had 5 other options that I could lose to.
Sure.
And when they would buy, my goal was to call them and follow up with them more than they called their own.
Love that. What good advice.
It's amazing. You would be surprised. Hey, at 6 months, it's coming due. You don't sell luxury B.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know, but listen, if you were looking once, you'll look again. Hey, let me take a look at that car deal that you got. Let me make sure that you got a fair deal.
Sure.
You'd be surprised. Most people don't need to buy it the cheapest. They just want to know that, I think an average consumer, they want you to make a little bit of profit. They also want to make sure that they're not paying more than everybody else.
Sure.
And
I want to make sure it's fair.
Correct. So for me, it's finding those niches of consumers, because you already took all of the fun ones, all the easy ones, all the ones that I can't wait to call everybody that I know. The next ones, the harder ones, are your service department. My service department, for example, which the good service departments are built like this. Most service departments, you have some or in my case, a lot of customers that did not buy from you.
Yes.
So going back to your service department, develop a relationship with your service advisors and make sure that you're going and finding that their customers, if they need somebody, that they're bringing them to you. But also, I would take it one step further. Don't let the service advisor be in charge of this. Go walk through and say hi to people.
What a concept.
In the morning, so 2 days a week, I help open the service department, and those I don't spend 5 minutes in there. I end up spending several hours, and I'm moving up the cars. I'm making sure that the customers are getting great, those kinds of things, and it's amazing. You can have stuff to do back there. Oh, by the way, you could appraise all the cars that are back there. There's lots of cool things that you can provide
Don't give away further episodes.
Oh, that's a whole episode in and of itself. But but as a new salesperson, how do I make it not awkward?
Yes.
I'm just going to come up. Hi, Paul. You're in for an oil change. Hey, can I sell you a car? Give them something. Help them out. Just hey, if your service advisor doesn't call you back, which do service advisors call their customers back? It's hard.
Don't even get me started.
They do. They rarely call when the customer wants to be called. They're calling when it's completed.
Yes.
Maybe it was a long job. Maybe it took long. Either way, give the customer one more person to call. So I would go to the service lane. Make sure that you're talking to those customers. You said cold versus warm. You could go to your manager today and say, "Can you give me a list of customers to call? Are they going to give you the warm ones or the cold ones?"
Cold.
The cold ones.
Every time.
Because nobody else wants to call them.
No.
Paul already told you what a cold call was. Go and ask your manager for the cold calls. There's also another one called orphans. And no, this is not Orphan Annie. These are orphans.
Glad you cleared that up.
These are, salespeople, the turnover, depending on the store, could be higher or lower. Like mine, half and half. It's either it wasn't the right business for them and they got out, or they've aged out and they're retiring. So, every dealership has orphans. You change CRM systems and it accidentally created orphans that didn't exist before.
Sure.
Those are great resources as well. Because it takes time and it takes patience to get through those. They do close at a smaller percentage, but you're going into, that. These are customers that were not going to get called that you can now call. You don't have to sit at your desk and wait for somebody to come in. The phone to ring, the internet lead to bing on your email.
You're staying productive.
Do not give yourself free time.
I love this. So we just both gave our own answers. And real quick, I just like you touched on several, and I love you for that, right? So when you said referrals, another one of Madre's, right? So if I ask for 3 referrals, they usually give me 2 and one of them buys. Do that math. If every time you sell a vehicle, a widget, and you ask for 3 and one of them turns into a sale, you do realize how fast your portfolio grows.
Oh, yeah.
Your snowball gets bigger. I always tell everybody in the trainings, your snowball starts really, really small, but almost down to a flake, and it just grows to this huge boulder by the end, right, as it goes down the hill. If you're asking for referrals, you're in a BNI or some kind of a group, doesn't have to be a BNI, but some kind of group outside of work, you're talking to and entering all of the contacts that you have into the CRM and reach out to them, and you live in the service lane, whether it's one of the busiest times, by the way, in the service lane. If you told a sales consultant, I'd like you to live in that service department because whatever X percentage of our customers that come to service have not purchased a car from here. When would you tell a sales consultant to be in that service lane if you were to give them some advice?
It's okay.
First hour and a half of all the people, my own contacts at their desk. But if they started and ended their day in service, when they do sell a car, they ask for referrals and they talk to all of their own contacts. Have they taken any phone ups yet? Have they taken any internet leads?
Not one.
How many chats have they gotten involved in?
0.
So we have all of these brand new hires busy from morning to night, and we're not even giving them quote unquote leads. We are showing you and teaching you and giving you ways to get in front of people to grow your career without even talking about leads.
So as we're finishing up, the main thing that I want to focus on, I don't care if you're in sales, you're in service, you're in body shop, you're in any department. If you have free time and you're not getting enough, go ask your manager for somebody to call. They have people to call. Do not sit at your desk. Do not wait for the up bus, so to speak, to show up.
Yes.
Go find them. The number one thing that I always find is that salespeople, associates, they don't know what to do next. If you don't know what to do, go ask to make more phone calls.
I love you for that. And this is a great place to end.
Yeah,
we could talk literally for hours about just this subject, and we'll come back as the episodes go. But remember, if you like the things that you hear, please let us know. If you don't like the things you hear, let us know. If you'd like to hear more on leads or topics that we've talked about today, please reach out to us. How do they reach out to us again?
Everywhere.
Everywhere? All different ways to reach out. They can email us. They can chat is the best probably way to do that. They can get a text us if they want to text us, whatever they want to do. We just love to talk if you can't tell.
Yep.
Ruck, right? Anything
Absolutely
you want to do to close and give them a little teaser for episode 3, maybe?
Yeah. So the leads, they lead to what? We sell something, we fix something.
I think they lead to appointments.
Correct.
So should we talk about that?
Or you're just really excited, you're brand new. Am I going to make any money?
Oh, you want to talk about profits? That's it.
Let's do
profits. Episode 3 will be profits.
Profits.
Until then, we'll see you, everybody. Have a great day today.